Okay, so a little bit different this episode. We're gonna do a little Q&A, backgrounds, backstory, interview kind of episode. I suppose is the way. So with all of that, I'm just gonna start pummeling you with questions. Maybe not pummeling, but pepper you with questions.
I like peppering a little bit better. I don't like to be pummeled.
No, I understand that. Nobody likes the pummels. Yeah. So basically, you started Radiance Videography. You got it going, got it off the ground. Like, what were you doing before?
Yeah. So a little bit about my story. Just, I have to go back a little ways. I mean, I started working for my dad at an early age doing heating and air conditioning stuff and construction. Yeah. And although it's a great trade or whatever, it just was not my cup of tea. There's a lot of stuff like crawling under small crawl spaces. I was like the gopher guy or whatever, or being in attics, and like I was in construction, and it was kind of one of those things. I'm not a very decisive person as a young guy. I was not very decisive in making decisions. There was a lot of things that I wanted to do. Like I wanted to maybe do something in fitness or whatnot, or I considered going to Bible college. I was really into playing music. Yeah. I was a drummer, so I thought about maybe taking this rock band thing and becoming a big rock star.
Take it all the way to LA, man.
But I was doing this construction thing, and the band that I was in had broke up and whatever, and it was one of those things that I was kind of safe and secure in it a little bit, I guess you could say.
Well, and that sounds like the start of any super story. Like that's the build-up base, right? I don't want to interrupt and cut the flow, but it's always like I was in construction and my band broke up and we were getting ready to take us there.
A lot of people are in bands, I think, but
it's true.
So yeah, it was more one of those things that I just dreaded going to work every day. But then you're probably very similar, but you start having a family and having kids, and it made it even it made it more secure.
Yeah.
So I was even stuck in there. I just felt stuck.
Oh, okay.
Doing what I was doing, and I hated work. I just had that pit in my stomach every time. Monday, Sunday rolled around. I was thinking about the work week, and I just hated it. Just that horrible feeling.
That is a terrible feeling.
I'm sure most of you guys have experienced that. But so I spent all my 30s. I got involved in this network marketing stuff, pyramid schemes. You all probably saw those. I thought it was something that was going to be legit and a way that I could make a lot of money, and that was going to be my future or whatever. I did that for 8 long years of my 30s. And I feel like I kind of wasted my 30s. And so I would highly recommend anybody that's considering one of those, don't do it.
If it's an MLM, stay away.
So I wish I would have listened to people earlier on. But so I feel like a lot of my 30s were gone. And finally it was I was 38, 39. And I'm at that point, I kind of stopped doing that. And I'm man, I just want to do something that I really enjoy, right? So I started my own personal training company. I started training people out of my house, built a clientele I started working for my brother-in-law doing landscaping. And I just called him up. It's hey man, is there a way you could, give me some hours, work through the week, help me to be able to build a clientele? So I started training people in the morning, and then went to work landscaping in the day. Yeah. And then at night, I'd train some more people, built my clientele
2 full-time jobs. Man.
Yeah. So it's just, I had to grind it out for a little while, but I built a clientele that was big enough so I didn't have to do the landscaping stuff anymore.
Nice.
And my wife is a hairstylist. So she's always had a pretty good foundational income coming in. It's been so helpful for us. So without you, sweetie, this wouldn't have been possible. But
she's
shout out to you, Becky. Yeah,
there you go.
So I was really excited about what I was doing and building a personal training company. But my ultimate goal was to build subscription-based stuff, so I could make it a little bit more systematic.
Yeah,
have a little bit more flexibility, so I didn't have to always be training people to make money. So I
Understand the income.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole goal was like to build like a program where it had their meal programming and their strength training regiments and their programming all like in one app, and then I'd be able to sell it. And that was the idea. And I knew to do that, I would have to create a lot of content and create, videos. And so I just started learning everything I could.
So that's the base right there.
So yeah, that's where that's my start. And the whole, I don't know if I would ever picked up a video camera in my life, Emil, if that wouldn't have been the case.
If it wasn't for YouTube.
It's so crazy. Yeah. So yeah, if it wasn't for YouTube. So I really fell in love with the whole process. I was learning everything I could about lighting and cameras and settings and composition and editing and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
And I was like, man, if I could do this like full time, I probably would. But I was really doing what I was loved with the fitness stuff. But at the same time, I was having to replace a lot of people, because if you know anything about the fitness industry, Emil, is like people give it a good old 2-month college try.
Oh yeah.
And then they just don't have a long-term mindset typically. And they're like, as soon as they don't see a result of losing 30 or 40 pounds in over a week's time, they're just,
because that's what it takes is a week. Melts right off.
Yeah.
And with the right drugs, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know that those are legal, but
they apparently, Ozempic's really big right now, but there's always some new fad. But that's because that's why most of the fitness industry appeals to people's short-term mindset, so it's like this fast, quick gimmick stuff.
But that's, so it sounds like you're trying to keep people in a long-term game, right? Having had my ins and outs and starts and stops with fitness, I completely understand. It's definitely a discipline, long-term, show up every day, do the thing that is dumb.
It's like we've talked about on other episodes about habits and stuff. I named my company Final Start Fitness, so this could be like your final start, like people that had dieted years and years over and over again, started, stop, start.
It's the last time you start.
Yeah. And so the whole goal was to build, help people with mindset, but in 4 key areas: your nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress, and toxins.
Okay.
And so those were like the pillars of what I wanted to help teach people and build habits in those areas, so that way they could have long-term results, but I think it didn't take long to realize, like, even if people have really struggled with changing like mindsets and habits. Like, like it takes discipline and it takes work. And in a lot of ways, people just don't want to put in that type of work. It's difficult, to change mindsets that you've had for years and, switch. And it really just comes down to me. This weight needs to come off now. And it just is what it is. It's not like a dogging anybody for it or whatever, but it was, I did have to like replace people pretty often.
The churn was real high.
Yeah. It was like, I was kind of spinning my wheels. Right.
Yeah.
So because I started, creating some videos, some of my friends, that had owned some companies started asking me to film a few things, some highlight reels and whatnot. And then I also filmed a couple weddings. And I made more like in one project than I would a whole month personal training people. So I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's a natural jump, right? At that point.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was at. 2019 is when I made the decision. But I was kind of at this point where I was considering like, hey, if I open up a gym, it'd probably provide a lot more, people and I could provide more classes and more opportunities. But I was just weighing out the pros and cons. And then on the other side, I really like doing this video stuff. I can make way more money, but the gym thing seemed to me like, man, there's a lot of overhead and a lot of stress. And I've talked to other gym owners and, they live up at the gym and it's just like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of pressure to keep everything going and operating and whatnot. So I was just like, man, the video side not only pays a lot more, but offers a lot more flexibility. I can pretty much operate majority of the stuff out of my house if need be. A lot of the production shoots that I go on, you know, sometimes are at a building or somewhere like an office of wherever I'm shooting at. So then later on, I was actually able to build a great relationship with my buddy James, where we have this studio now where we're filming, and it provides a great place, you know, to bring clients in if need be. So that worked out really well. But yeah, man, I was at that crossroads, and I was like, man, it just makes way more sense to do this video stuff. And so I switched gears and went like head in to the whole video stuff. And you know, the first couple years was a little bit rough because COVID was happening. Like
that was a hard year to go heads down all in on stuff.
Man, just my goal was just to stay consistent. When I started, I told my wife, I'm like, look, I want to be true to the core to my values and principles of keeping my faith and my family and my health and stuff like that as the priorities. And I just wanted to do similar to like what my mindset is with business or with fitness, was like just be consistent over time, do the right things over time.
Yeah.
And eventually you get there. And so fast forward to, you know, past couple years, we've been able to pretty much like double the past 2 years our income every year. And this year, you know, me and you got together, started meeting up, talking. You're really great with systems and CRMs and business processes stuff. And I'm kind of at that point where it's like, man, this is the point, the thing that I need to get us to the next level. And we're just great buddies. And you know, like, hey, well, let's work together and
the opportunity
build something like huge. And I'm so excited that you've been able to jump on board and like the future of what the opportunities are, because I really think over the next 5 to 10 years, we'll be looking like a household name in the video film industry in the Midwest and beyond. So
in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So
shoot for that scope.
That's my whole kind of my background on how I got into this whole thing. And I just, it's so amazing to me to look back, because going from when I used to have a pit in my stomach, hating work, to now where I'm so excited about the projects. I was pumped about getting up today, talking with you, having these podcasts. We just got done doing another one with my buddy Cameron with Simply Homes. And like, it's just so cool to be able to love what you do and enjoy what you do and be excited about the work that you're going to do, rather than having that like nasty pit and hating life. Right.
Well, that's the goal, isn't it? Like, that's what we want our lives to be. That's what we want. We hope everybody else out there, like, that's what their lives are going to be. Like, we want to help facilitate that. Right. Well, what would you say has brought you the most fulfillment since you started Radiance Videography? Like, when you think back on not necessarily individual shoots or individual clients, but just, is there a process? Is there something that you're just like, man, that is the sweet spot for me. I really love to do this.
Oh, okay. So the most fulfillment of the parts of the business that I like.
Yeah. If you break it down, like there's the disciplines.
I would really, that's one of the big reasons why I think you're going to be key into this whole role, like, as we grow, is because my main desire, like, I love this whole production part of the business of like filming, creating content, editing. And I've never really enjoyed so much of the business process part and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And those are things that, you know, like, you have to do. You know, I like networking, the relationship thing, parts of the business, you know, going out and building relationships. But at the end of the day, it still takes a lot of time away from me being able to really do what I love, which is really what we're doing right now. I love this part of the business. I love being able to create content from, you know, the beginning to the end, all the way from production to post-production. And
all the way through.
I like I said, you know, when I was filming my own stuff with the fitness stuff, it's like, man, I just fell in love with that whole process of creating content. And so that would be what I'd say provides me the most joy in what I do as far as work.
Yeah.
But I love working for myself as well, because it's been able to provide me to live out my priorities And,
Right.
you know, working, you know, it just is what it is. Like corporate America is typically like just, it's all about you become a number and a cog in the wheel, you know?
It very much feels that way, like the Jetsons kind of lifestyle.
Exactly.
Like, oh, we make cogs, you know,
It's
just
that's why I lived most of my life. And that's why I dreaded work, you know, so much. And to be able to, you know, live out my priorities, you know, there's times where if I want to, you know, take a little bit longer lunch or whatever, I don't have to like worry about, you know,
yeah.
getting back or whatever. Or if my wife had a birthday on Tuesday, you know, we took off.
My wife had a birthday on Tuesday too.
Yeah. So what's cool about that is my wife and his wife are best buddies and their birthdays are on the same day.
It's weird.
So
it works out real nice though.
Yeah, it really does. And we got together last Sunday to be
Yeah.
able to celebrate it together. That was fun. So
It's just always the best to celebrate. So the fulfillment from your job, from this, it's not even a job for you, is it? It's just, this is life. Your fulfillment from your life.
It really is. It's brought purpose and
yeah. And that has to be a super rewarding piece to show your family, to show your kids, to be able to talk to clients like this, right?
Well, it really is. And I think that's one of the things. Me and Cam just had a conversation. We were talking about like a team culture and stuff like that and what the culture looks like. And, you know, one of the big things that I want to be able to create in our business is a culture that, you know, with the same, like caring about our team and the people that are working for us, and that they are able to be able to have a life like that where they enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
And have that flexibility to be able to like not have somebody looking over their shoulder whatever they're doing, and to be able to just like really have a purpose. And it's really exciting to think about that, you know, as we grow, we're going to build a team of people that are able to enjoy that same lifestyle. And it's not just, it doesn't have to be like a job that, you know, you dread every week going into, you know, it's just something.
And if that's, I mean, I know you've talked about it just now. I know I've experienced that. And I know, like I said, millions of other people around the world experience that. Like you got to get up and grind through sometimes and push through the things that just are not enjoyable.
Yeah.
But you also have to listen to your gut. And when it's telling you like, hey, I don't like this. I don't like having to get up and go to this specific place. Like, you gotta listen to it.
I think what I've realized too is like when you really enjoy something, it's not as hard to do some of the hard things, right? Like, like in obviously I think you give more of your effort, right? Like I always believed in hard work or whatever, but like when you're really enjoying something, you're gonna want to like put in your best. And then on top of that, if you know your boss or whoever it is, or the leadership really cares about you, I think you're just going to want to put in more effort, and those hard things just, you know, are easier.
Yeah. And the part about that, right? Like you're trying to build that base. We're trying to build that base and have that experience for not just ourselves, but for our employees or partners or whoever. And quite honestly, I don't think you're afraid to tell anybody like, hey, if this doesn't feel right to you, like maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, well, it's kind of a principle that there's a book called Good to Great. Forgot it's a very popular book, but it's
put it down below.
One of the things that he talks about is getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. And it has a lot to do with what you're just talking about. It's like, if we want to bring on people that love what they do. Yeah. And then provide a great environment for them to thrive in it, you know, like, but if you don't love, you know, what you do and you're not really into it, I was there. I know what that's like. You're going to feel like you're trapped, and it's just something that you're just going through the motions. And that's never a good place to be, you know?
Yeah. Well, number one, like that's not good for you,
You
as a
know,
person. Like the
exactly.
person in the position of like, well, I don't like being here.
Mm-hmm.
Find the thing you like to do. Like go look for it. Go
Yeah.
work towards it. Go, you know. And that's something that I know that we've talked about several times is just the idea of like, hey, find something, whatever it is, right? That's in you. That's just
what's so
needing to get out.
interesting because like I have heard other people be like, well, I don't know what I want to do. You know, like how do I know what I want to do? Well, like my story is a great example. Like I would have never found videography if I wouldn't have like stepped out and did like personal training. And sometimes you just, it's just a matter of going out and trying some things and doing some stuff and
a little exploration, right?
Yeah. You'll fit, you know, like, and if I believe that in Proverbs, it says that in a man's heart, he makes his plans, but God directs his steps. And so like in my life, I've seen that to be accurate as like, hey, I've trusted God and I've made some plans and I just said, hey, want to start this fitness company, started doing some things and he's guided my steps along the way. And I am where I am today, you know, and I look back and like, you can look back and be like, wow, that's so cool. Look at those different steps that he brought me through, you know? So, I think it's just a matter of trying stuff out. You won't know if you don't try and you just keep staying in that stuck place, you know?
Yeah. No, it's like where I think our parents told us that many, many times. Like, well, you never know if you like it until you try it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like carrots. Well, you don't eat carrots. Maybe if you eat a carrot, you'll like a carrot.
It's funny because we were talking about that last week about like your parents tell you stuff. And you get older and you realize, oh, like they knew what they were talking about.
They might have known. They might have known some of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a lot to learn. So I'm sure Nolan's great, man. He's such a humble kid and proud of him. So
good. Yeah, I like Nolan a lot.
Yeah.
Big Logan.
Shout
out, bro. Yeah, so the future of Radiance Videography, the 5, 10, 15 years down the road, what do you see as the target, the goal, the path even?
Yeah. So man, I love this question because I think it's really just the goal is probably like doing the same thing that I started with was focus on like people and focus on like caring about people and serving our customers and creating a culture that does that in our team. And I really believe the byproduct of that is that, like I said before, I think in the next 5, 10 years, we'll be a household name, you know, in the surrounding regions, but across the country. And because I think if you start with just some like number goal and you're only focused like on the money, it always brings you down a road of doing the wrong things and you're not able to focus on serving people and taking care of people and taking care of your customers.
Right.
You're so focused on numbers and money that it causes you to miss opportunities and not just treat your employees like a cog in the wheel like I was used to. And I think if you've got employees that you care about, they're going to in turn reciprocate and really love their job and they're going to offer a great service. And if we offer a great service, it means that the byproduct of that is ultimately going to be the very thing that most people are looking to accomplish is the money.
Yeah.
And so I've started with that mindset, and I think that same thing is going to follow us through the next 5, 10, 15,
into
decades.
The future. Yeah.
So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's that's why I'm excited about you jumping on board with us and helping us get to the next level, because there are some things that I'm obviously not very good at. There's in bringing people's talents together. And that's the idea, is that we bring a team of people that are talented in their particular giftings, and you provide an environment where they can thrive at it, where you care about them and help facilitate them to do their job. I think like we're just going to be able to just crush it and provide a great product for our customers.
Yeah, I'm on board for all of it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I've got too many more questions at that point.
No, I think that's great.
pretty
I
succinct.
think it offers a little bit about our background and how I got started. If some of you might be, questioning or wondering like, what's your story? And that's kind of a little bit about us, but I'm really excited for what we have here in the next 5-10 years of where we're going. And
yeah,
God willing, we'll, still keep trucking.
Well, do you ever want to create other workout videos?
That's a great question, because it's definitely something I wanted to pick back up, like whenever, but I knew I had to focus in and like do just one thing.
Right.
But it's definitely still a passion of mine. I would love to be able to, I love helping educate people and tips and tricks to become healthier. And I wanted to in the past, my goal was to put together a program with like workouts and videos that, explain the mechanics of exercises, so that way you can like take the, have the programming of your workouts laid out, but then a video that would be like attached to it to show you, like if you were a newbie and really weren't sure how to perform mechanics of the exercise, and then have like a 8-week meal plan that would be like put all in together like an app. I'd still love to be able to do something like that and offer to people in the future, but that's kind of like just kind of putting that on hold until like I maybe have more time or something. We'll see.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. So if you're looking for really good videography services for your workout videos,
yeah, man, we can definitely do that.
Hit us up.
I would love that. It'd be right in my alley, because I made a lot of that stuff. So
come right back into it. Fantastic. Well, if you've got any questions, comments, leave us a little comment below. Like, subscribe, smash that like button. This has been fun.
It's been a lot of fun, man.
Always. It's a great ride. I'm glad we're on the car together.
Absolutely.
And we'll just make the bus bigger.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
Stay radiant.
Be seen. Be heard. All right. See you guys. That was fun, man.
That was.
I've never really been able to tell my story on video.